Hey everyone, welcome back to episode 2 of the Forza Athletics YouTube coaching series. My name is Dr. Charles Inferna. I'm the head coach and owner at Forza Athletics, where we equip coaches and athletes with the tools they seek out in order to achieve their unique and specific goals. Last week's episode was more of an introduction where we talked about our one word for the upcoming year, where I talked about choice or making the decision to choose something, right? I shared a few of my experiences as to why I selected choice. And for today, kind of piggybacking on choice, what we're going to spend our time talking about in this 4-part series for January is going to be about purpose, right? Like when we set goals, when we want to achieve something, when we want to accomplish something, ultimately it's going to be directed by a purpose, right? Why is accomplishing this goal important to me? So when we're talking about the why, when we're talking about the importance behind something, right? Every year I sit down with my coaches and athletes when we have seminars with coaches, but more often with athletes. And what we do is we talk about the purpose. Why is it important for me to accomplish this goal, right? Why is accomplishing this goal going to help me? Why is it driving my purpose? Why is it driving my season, right? So let's give you an example. When I was at SUNY Fredonia in the fall of 2003, we went through a coaching change. Coach O'Gorman left, Coach Barr came in, and that summer I learned about purpose and the importance of why I wanted to accomplish something. And I didn't realize it at the time that I had these smaller goals, like low aspirations for myself. And it took a whole year of working really with Coach Barr to help me figure out that there's more importance behind, or there should be more of a significance behind why I wanted to achieve what I wanted to achieve. So my whole goal at Fredonia, I was going to get on the Wall of Fame. I was going to be this great athlete. I was going to be the next great thrower after Trevor Hitchcock, and I was going to have my picture up there next to him in our Sports Hall of Fame in Dodds Hall. And that obviously did not happen. I don't think it's ever going to happen there anyway, as far as athletics go. But that was my goal. I wanted to be the next great thrower. That was really important to me coming in. And I quickly realized that was never probably going to happen, right? I was about the same height that I am now. I was like 185 pounds. I thought I could be a sprinter also. And there was just a whole hodgepodge of things that happened that you'll be able to read about in the Throwing Circle when the book is published, our first book through Forza Athletics, that kind of goes into the details and kind of take a peek behind the curtain. But I didn't really have a strong why behind the importance and the significance about what I wanted to accomplish. So my senior year, I wanted to win one conference championship in the hammer. Like that was it. Like that was my big goal. I didn't care about distances. I just wanted to win. I had finished second a whole bunch of times in the weight throw indoors. I had medaled my sophomore and junior year in the hammer outdoors. And excuse me. And that was really all I wanted to do. But there wasn't a rhyme or reason behind it, right? I didn't really have an important reason why I thought it was cool to win a SUNY Hammer championship, right? So in talking with Coach Barr throughout the course of the year, like I quickly realized that there has to be something else behind it. There has to be something driving that purpose, right? We didn't really spend too much time talking about motivation, but that is something that I'm going to talk about with you today, right? So when we talk about motivation, right, there's two different forms, intrinsic and extrinsic motivation, right? DC and Ryan, two famous researchers from the University of Rochester, really coined these phrases through their research in self-determination theory. I'm going to add some links in there in the notes if you're really interested about that. But what they talk about with intrinsic motivation is that it has to be something that's driven from within, right? There can't be this carrot at the end of the stick that's driving you along towards accomplishing whatever this goal is, right? That's the extrinsic part. I have to throw far so I can keep my scholarship. I have to keep my grades up so I can keep my athletic scholarship. I have to keep my grades up, or I need to perform a certain, or meet this certain benchmark in athletics to keep my athletic scholarship. Those are extrinsic motivators, right? If I do something, I'm going to get something in return. Intrinsically, I want to throw well because I want to be a positive role model for my coaches. I want to, achieve this goal for myself. I want to fulfill my personal legend. If you watched other videos where I've talked about the alchemist, right? I want to do all these things. I have this vision for myself that I'm going to throw in the 2028, the 2032, 2036 Olympics, right? I'm driven by something outside of this reward. It's something that when we talk about extrinsic versus extrinsic, you hear people talking about process versus outcome, right? People who are intrinsically motivated fall in love with the process. They fall in love with the process of training every day, of going to the gym, of completing their workouts, of studying up on whatever sport it is, right? They get 8 to 10 hours of sleep. They take care of their nutrition. They monitor their rest, their recovery, all of these other factors that are driven by this intrinsic motivation for us, this internal desire to achieve something, right? We have some autonomy with process goals, right? We can dictate what's going to happen. To a certain extent, we have at least control and say over what our goals are, right? We're intrinsically motivated by that because we get to decide. It's not a coach that says you have to throw 50 feet or you have to throw 60 feet or you have to throw 20 meters or 60 meters or whatever we're talking about, right? It's the process. And you hear football coaches, basketball coaches talk about this ad nauseum, right? You have to fall in love with the process. You have to fall in love with getting your training sessions in at 6 o'clock in the morning, going to the trainer and then going to class, having breakfast, going to class, coming back for practice, going to the trainer after practice, like doing all these different things that are about processes, right? They're habits that we build that are going to hopefully keep us intrinsically motivated because we want to do something for ourselves. And that's ultimately what it comes down to, is we're doing this for ourselves. I get up at 5 o'clock in the morning to go swim at the YMCA 3 times a week because I know I'm registered for a half Ironman race in July. But if I don't get these training sessions in now, the process, it's not going to go too well in July, right? But I'm intrinsically motivated because it's something that I want to do, right? It's this challenge that I've set for myself of completing a half Ironman triathlon race, right? 1.2 mile swim, 56 mile bike ride, and a half marathon, 13.1 miles run, right? But a lot of it is all process. Outcome, we're fixated on a specific outcome, number, distance, right? So in the case of my half Ironman, I could say I want to finish in, 10 hours, let's say, right? Then I get fixated on this outcome, right? I'm fixated on oh my goodness, I have to finish my swim in 45 minutes. That means I only have 4 hours on my bike. That means I only have 5 hours to run my half marathon, right? Whatever the case is, we get fixated on this outcome, which isn't really intrinsically motivating because then we're not doing it for the joy and happiness of wanting to accomplish something. It's for this external reward, right? Like with triathlon, the local races around here, you finish the race, you earn a medal about the size of your thumb, right? That's not really extrinsically motivating to me to pay $300 and train 10 hours a week for a medal as big as my thumbnail, okay? So So that's what we're talking about when it's outcome versus process. If we get fixated on, I have to throw 60 feet, and I have to throw 60 feet, and I have to throw 60 feet, and we never get there, oh my goodness. Processes start falling apart, or maybe we don't even have any processes. Maybe we don't keep track of our training log when we throw. We don't keep track of our training log when we work out. We don't keep track of our rest, recovery, nutrition, any of those things. We just get fixated on this outcome that essentially, right, when we're talking about the triathlon, for example, is kind of out of my control. I competed in an Olympic distance race this summer, blew my tire on the 3rd mile of the bike ride. I was ill prepared for that because it had never happened to me before. And the time that I thought I was going to finish the race in went right out the window, right? So it was kind of more outcome this summer because I thought I was training well, I was in good shape, but I lost track of the processes and being intrinsically motivated to do that, right? For the sheer joy of wanting to. Which, right, if we look at our processes, are important, right? That's ultimately what it comes down to. When we're talking about our purpose, why is something important to us, right? And I can't answer that for my athletes. When Lewis tells me in 2015, in August of 2015, I want to win the national championship in March of 2016, he has to provide that purpose. He has to be able to find why that is important to him. And he had a very strong purpose, a very strong why, is to being able to accomplish that goal. It was not intrinsically motivated, and there really wasn't an outcome tied to it as far as a distance, but we put a lot of processes in place that kept him motivated internally to be able to accomplish this goal and achieve his why, right? It was something that he wanted to do. He didn't think that other people believed that he could do that, right? Go in 4 years from never competing in the weight throw to being a national champion to winning the hammer national championship also. He was driven internally by that. More of a chip on his shoulder, right? We could talk about that in other episodes. But essentially, we put processes in place, things that he needed to do, that he enjoyed doing. That's the other part of it, right? He enjoyed doing this. Now, sometimes we don't enjoy every single training session. We're not intrinsically motivated every single training session. That's where discipline comes into play, right? We know 5-6 months down the road, we want to accomplish a specific goal, but we need to do things today in order to prepare ourselves to accomplish that goal later on down the line, right? So we set up these processes that are intrinsically motivating, right? Because we have autonomy, we get to decide what these processes are, right? I don't tell the kids what they have to do, they decide for themselves. They're driven by that because it's pleasurable for them. They have say, they have autonomy in the process and the plan, the journey, which feeds into their why, the importance of why they want to accomplish whatever goal it is that they want to accomplish. Kind of a quicker crash course in talking about purpose, intrinsic versus extrinsic motivation, processes versus outcomes. I hope this information was really helpful for any coaches or athletes that are going to view this. Please leave a comment on YouTube, in the clips on Instagram at Charles Inferna or at Forza Athletics. Let me know what you think of these videos, what we could do to enhance the production quality. I know somebody already talked to me about my voice in here. I'm recorded in a room that has like 12-foot ceilings. Got to upgrade my microphone, things of that nature, so I understand, right? But as far as the content goes, if anybody has any questions or wants more information, please don't hesitate to reach out. All of my contact information can be found at Charles Inferna on Instagram, at Forza Athletics on Instagram, ForzaAthletics.com, our website where all of this information is stored and shared with everybody as well. And I really appreciate you taking the time to watch our video, our second video on our Forza Athletics coaching series, episode 2, Purpose. Thank you very much and have a great day.